Welcome to the hottest real estate topics on the planet, keeping you up to date with all the creative ways to buy and sell real estate without bank qualifying, so anyone can build real income starting today. Here is another great show with Dealmaker Bill and Pete the Rookie.
All right, here we are. Another episode of Flipping Houses for Rookies. That was a little weak this morning, Peter.
Oh, no, that was plenty, Bill. That's plenty.
That was okay?
Your week is still plenty for everybody. You woke everybody up. We're good. Good morning. You and everyone.
Clear my throat, get the frogs out of it.
Ribbit.
All right, here we are, episode number 349. And the title of today's podcast is Secret New Generation of Creative Real Estate Deals Revealed. Here is the description. Every so many years, industries make major shifts, good or bad. And since its entry on the world, COVID-19 has dramatically torn up the script of how we transact real estate. If you want to understand how this generation of creative real estate transactions are successfully conducted, then I strongly advise you listen to this entire episode and take notes. The power of making good money in real estate lies in each entrepreneur's foresight and ingenuity to take their destiny into their own hands and plan for a better future. And more, overcome any obstacles along the way. Why is it that during this very turbulent time, real estate soared to a point that it crippled many, many real estate entrepreneurs? Today, we will pull the curtain back and take a look backstage to see why this new world of creative real estate evolved organically and sort of viral-like. The reset has been so covert that even the government is left scratching their heads. Let's dig in and see why.
Sorry. Bill, is it all they're scratching?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, boy.
All right, so before we get started, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. So, this is Flipping Houses for Rookies podcast, obviously episode number 349, which means we have 348 episodes before this. And if they were each an hour long, which some of them are and some of them aren't, you'd have at least 350 hours worth of training you can get for free. So make sure you come back here and check us out. Make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you like our episodes. Give us feedback because Peter and I spend about 5 or 6 hours a week creating these podcasts. And the only exchange that we ask you for our time is to subscribe and like. Or go leave us a review. Also, we record this podcast on Thursday mornings, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you would like to be part of the podcast, you can go to Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. And in the section where they'll allow you to make comments or feedback or whatever section, you can, during the podcast, you can type us your questions. I will only answer questions that pertain to the podcast. If you have other questions, there's no problems. You can go on to our WhatsApp Messenger group called Let's Talk Real Estate. And you can join that group. And there are many, many, many other like-minded investors in there that will help you with your questions or want to team up with you or do all sorts of crazy things they do in there. Or if you want to get a message to myself or Peter directly, you can go to flippinghousesforrookies.com. On the top right-hand side, there's a support ticket, and they come right to me. I answer those tickets. I used to do them every day, but it's been every couple of days because I started a new software company called Creative REI Reply, and I have 2 support tickets I got to answer every day. So I don't always get to them every day, but I definitely get to them within a short period of time. Okay? So with that said, there's a link in the description wherever you're watching us or listening to us that pertains to today's information that will help you significantly do what we are talking about today. And that's it. The business part of it is over. Let's get into the podcast.
Here we go.
So you ready? You ready, Peter?
I'm ready. Always ready to see what you're going to say, because, folks, Bill never tips me off. I walk in, I sit down just like you. What are we talking about today? And wing it with him. So go right ahead, Mr. Hawthorne.
Well, we do that because in the beginning, you were representing all the rookies, right?
And I still will.
And
Like if I don't understand something, I'll say so, because if I don't get it, they won't get it. So, just my 2 cents, my couple questions here and there. Sure.
Good. And it's not that I'm smarter than anybody else. It's just that sometimes I have more experience, and sometimes I don't communicate clearly. So there you go. All right. Seems there's a lot of anticipation for a real estate reset. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah. I was just talking to my son who bought a house, and there's questions like, which mortgage should I take? The one with the higher interest and better debt, for the long end, because there might be a recession, and I'll do this instead. He's trying to, stay ahead of what might happen, because they say, and they don't seem to know, and we just go. Right?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
What do you say?
So this anticipation real estate reset is what a lot of people I talk to want to hear. And this reset is one that will slow down the overbidding and the cash offers, the multiple offers, and even the rude sellers, because they get cocky and they are not polite on the phones. So creative real estate has this connotation that the market has to be thwarted, or days in the market need to lengthen so we can do our work. Now, I'm not going to go off on a rant, which I could do for the rest of this podcast, about what creative real estate is called by the wrong people, aka the realtor system. Which, by the way, there are only, up until we come along, there are only 2 ways you can buy real estate, and that's with a realtor or in the realtor system. Which, by the way, when I'm talking about realtors, I'm not talking about them individually. I'm talking about the system they use.
Yeah.
Right? Because I definitely bash the system. And the other way is to sell for sale by owner. And 88.7% of the for sale by owners end up with a realtor. And as far as I'm concerned, that's because they don't do enough marketing. They don't know how to find qualified leads. They don't know how to do sales. They don't know how to do a lot of the things that the realtors don't know how to do. The difference is they don't know the realtors don't know that. In any event, my point, or the rant that I'm going to avoid today is that we are the non-conventional system. A lot of people think that creative real estate is the non-conventional system.
Yeah, non-traditional.
Non-traditional is another way to put it.
I saw that in a write-up the other day. Yeah, non-traditional. Oh, really?
And the irony of it is, and I'm going to go over this in a couple podcasts. I think podcast number 3, I don't remember one, 351 or 352 or something. I go into it in depth, but the point is that the realtors came on, or the word realtor came on board in the early 1900s. From the early 1900s to 1949, they were considered charlatans. A charlatan is like a snake oil salesperson, on the side of the dirt road with a wagon and all his magic ailments.
Yep.
And they were not trusted. So in 1949, September of 1949, someone wrote, I don't remember the guy's name, Wilmington or something. I forgot the guy's name. He wrote a code of ethics for realtors. And in October 1949, the National Realtors Association was initiated, and the sole purpose of that organization was to implement the code of ethics. So from October 1949 to present time, right? They've done a good job of being the only game in town. Now, in any other industry, and with the woke population, if you would, I don't know any other way to put it, not to be political, but you could. I mean, I'm surprised somebody hasn't done it. You could say they have a monopoly because they're the only game in town, right?
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is, and the reason why I divert from the podcast for a minute is okay. So if that is true, which you can go check on the internet, you don't have to believe me. If that is true, and it was really 1949 when they organized and became a solid, reputable institution. They so believe they are. Mm-hmm. What did we do before the realtor was on board? How do we buy and sell real estate? Even if you went back as early as 1900,
yeah,
like what did we do before then?
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, there are, if you go through history, there are periods of time where there's, like especially out in the Midwest, there's acres and acres, and you could go claim a stake, put a stake down, and you would own the property. They would have developments formed like that. But from that point forward, how did people change ownership? How did they buy it from one another? And that's exactly what creative real estate is today. Right? It is those forms of doing business, or not forms, those
methods?
Ways of methods of doing business that we still use. They're older than the dirt the real estate sits on. Right? So that's why it irks me when I hear that we're the non-conventional way. It's just, it's people with amnesia.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this a few times on some of the podcasts, but my mechanics, I think the guy's like in his late 70s, and he was a broker for years.
Auto mechanics.
Auto mechanics, yeah. But he's still a broker legally, and he used to do more in the old days, not much now. But I was told him how we're doing creative finance. He goes, "Oh yeah, we did that all the time." So he's an old Italian from the old country. Come on, this is not anything terribly new. It's been around.
All right, so back to the podcast. Creative real estate has this connotation that the market has to be thwarted, or days on the market need to be lengthened for us to do our work, or find motivated sellers whom will take monthly payments or give a discount. Mm-hmm. In other words, the other myth is that, and I've had people actually confront me, the sellers. What's the matter? You don't have enough money to buy my house? Is that why you want to make payments? When the truth of the matter is that if you know anything about any part of real estate, or know anyone that this has happened to, you could start off with, you put down, we'll say $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, whatever the number is. You put down some money. So you work for a period of time, you get a chunk of dough, you put down a property, put it down on a property, and you buy, we'll say, a multifamily.
Yeah.
With equity in it. Well, then you go a year or two, and then you take money out of that property and you buy another one, or you save more money and you buy another one, and sooner or later you have a little empire. This is just like Monopoly, playing Monopoly on the Monopoly board.
Yeah.
Right? I don't care how good you are. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care how powerful you are. Sooner or later, the bank who is lending you the money will say you don't qualify because you're over leveraged.
Yep.
That is the reason why someone like myself or yourself does creative real estate, is because we don't want to over leverage ourselves. Mm-hmm. And if you're taking private mortgages or private loans, a lot of our private money comes from IRAs, self-directed IRAs, self-directed Roths. Mm-hmm. In fact, I don't even think I have a lender that uses real money anymore, other than retirement funds. Oh. When I say real money, I'm talking about like savings accounts and credit cards and equity lines and all that kind of stuff. Most of my money, and believe it or not, I bet you. Well, I've been using my own money, so that's not fair. But I'll bet you that, which is a no-no in my world, but it's just because I sold a bunch of properties in 2022 and I wanted to reemploy the money. I don't want it hanging around, right? So, I'll bet you I don't borrow half a dozen loans a year, if that. Mm-hmm. I just haven't been doing it because I do so much creative real estate stuff. So the point in doing creative real estate is so that you can leverage other people's money, which is like taking over mortgages, just doing a lease option. If you just do a lease option, you don't need any loans.
Yeah.
If you bought a house with a lease option and then subleased it, then you don't need a loan.
Yeah, compare that to taking a loan out to buy it and the incredible interest you'd be paying. That's just really, it's not smart financing. I mean, the less you can put into something like zero.
Yeah, the higher return.
Yeah, duh.
Infinite return, right?
Yeah, it's a Google return. Yeah.
So, Google. So, in fact, these thoughts that we're talking about, with the market are not entirely true. Right? Which leaves us with the question, has the market actually adjusted and we haven't noticed it? So we're waiting for the big reset, but is it here and we don't even see it?
It doesn't have to be a huge pendulum swing, does it?
Catastrophic is only 1 out of 10 when it happens, right? Like 2008 was catastrophic. It happened in a month.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what is that story about the frog that's in the boiling water? Right?
Yeah, you put it in cold. You put it in cold water, turn the heat on, and he's fine for a little while.
Well, he's fine until he just dies because he doesn't notice the temperature change and never tries to jump out of the water.
By the time he wants to, too late.
So is it possible there is a new generation of doing deals without a lot of common folk knowing about it? In other words, all the gurus, I could tell you right now because of my software company, I've been graciously and what is the word I want? Graciously is the first thing come to my mind. I've been blessed. Like, I really feel like blessed. Like, not so much in a religious way, but blessed like the grand fortune of going into a new level, a new sphere that I knew existed but never knew how to get into it. It's like I'm in with groups of people that are freaking incredible. Right? These guys are the movers and shakers. These guys are where all this is where they meet. Like you would be surprised. A lot of the people, and I'm not going to name names, that you see on YouTube and all these gurus are all in this group. And when I hear stories and I see things the way they are, it's kind of different to me. And even they aren't talking about this reset like we are right now. So more to the point, is it possible the entire way we transact real estate is changing and we don't even see that either? Let me explain. The first point I'd like to discuss today is the rumors that there is no inventory or not enough houses on the market, which drives prices up. Okay, so let's just hit the brakes for a second, and let's just get you into my head a little bit so you know why I'm making these statements, right? So my definition of inflation is too much money, not enough products. An example of that is one house, 20 buyers.
Yep.
So what happens when you have one house and 20 buyers?
They're going to fight over it.
And what happens?
Price go up.
There you go. Because somebody will always want to pay more.
Yep.
And if there's plenty of money to be had, then that will happen. Now, deflation is the opposite of that, right?
Yeah.
Deflation is too many products, not enough money. So deflation is 20 houses, one buyer.
That's right.
Okay? So with that in mind, it looks like there's no inventory. Because we have 20 buyers with cash.
Yep.
I mean, think about this. I promise not to rant on this too long. Think about this. March of 2020, we all, every single person that listening to me right now, plus you and me and everybody else that I know, were told to do what?
Stay home, shut up, close the door, don't go anywhere.
Or if you go anywhere, you'll die.
Yeah, exactly. No, Bill, worse. You'll kill innocent people.
right?
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of deaths. Every day that's what they were doing is they were reporting deaths.
Yep.
Right? It scared me. I stayed home. I'm not one that gets scared easily. I stayed home.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So we stay home for what, a whole year?
No, it was 2 weeks, Bill.
Yeah. So we stay home for a whole year, even longer. Now, here's the thing. The guy that builds a car, or the guy that builds a couch, or the guy that builds a TV, or builds an iPhone, or manufactures anything, can he do it from his house? Now, usually, right?
No, that's a cooperative conveyor belt, parts. No.
Assembly line, right? So now what happens is because everybody's staying home, and you guys all know this. When you're listening to me now, I'm just putting it in my own words. So you guys know this because you lived it like I did. They say, okay, we'll apply for unemployment. We'll give you $600 a week.
Yeah.
Well, where'd that $600 a week come from? They printed money. So over this course of 2 years, they printed $10 trillion. $10 trillion. So what's the definition of inflation?
Exactly.
Not enough products,
too much
money.
Yeah.
So we were told to stay home, don't build anything, don't make anything. I tried to, my wife was on me about buying a couch. We bought a couch at the tail end of COVID. It took us 2.5 months to get it because they couldn't make it. They didn't have it.
Yeah.
All the inventory, all the supplies, they talked about supply chain.
Yeah.
What were they talking about supply chain for? They're talking about all the warehouses got emptied out.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about this at the cigar shop the other night. It's like COVID came, and then they had a bunch of storms, and so tobacco dries for like 2 years before they roll it.
Wow.
Right. So what happened was they used up all that reserves. So right now there's like a shortage of tobacco. Not to mention that it's become popular as well. So of course we have all these problems. It was man-made. This is not some like miracle, right? Yeah. So they're trying to implement this theory that we didn't build enough houses. That's why we have a shortage of real estate. And a realtor Dave, who used to work for me, goes on and he tries so hard. He's an engineer, and he tries so hard to get me to believe, well, for 20 years, the building industry was down 3.645834%. He's got this really long number, and he tells me how it's just catching up to us. And I ask him, well, why now? Why is it catching up to us now? And he doesn't have an answer. So it's just they're interesting facts, right? So they're also blaming it on too much population control, right? Population's increasing, and the shorting of houses and the construction for the last 20 years. It's like this whole like story they have, right? Here's an interesting fact. A mere explanation of something does nothing. It just allows decay to continue.
Yeah, like an opinionated explanation. Just an opinion.
Right. So thus, survival is very, very closely tied to logic. Right? So survival and logic could be almost synonymous in my world.
Illogical is people's failure.
Right. And it is catastrophic for someone or an amateur. Now, this to me is the climax of this podcast, but others will not think that way because they're not me, right? So it's catastrophic for someone or an amateur to act on data or information without doing some research on where it came from. Thus, often evaluating prematurely or making conclusions prematurely. Right? And a true situation. Okay, so what I'm saying there is you have a condition, right? I don't have enough money.
Yeah.
Well, it's because I didn't work enough hours last week.
Okay. Why didn't
So
you work
you went from problem to solution.
Yeah.
No evaluation.
Yeah. You just picked something and just went, it's because of that.
You could say, well, it's because I didn't work enough hours last week. Well, it could be that you went out to dinner 4 times this week and spent $200 on dinner.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You don't evaluate that. You don't look at that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means there's a situation there.
Yep.
There's something going on that shouldn't be going on. And a situation in my head is defined as a not expected state of affairs. A situation is a non-expected state of affairs, either good or bad.
Oh.
So, like, you run out of money this week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a not expected state of affairs.
Yeah. A bad one.
Right? And there's a situation that caused it. In other words, situations aren't happenstance. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They're held down. The situations are caused. Right? Does that make sense?
Well, the way I look at it, and not to differ with you, just my angle on what you're saying is, if things are happening that you don't like and like, well, it just happens, you don't have a way to fix it. Even if it were true, you've got to find something real that you can do something about. And I don't care if it's real or unreal, something that you can do about it. And it will be real because you're doing something about it, or else you're a victim. You don't survive like that. You've got to find something. So
Which brings me to my next point.
Right?
The data believed to be true without inspection and or without some structured interpretation that gives meaning to a situation or some sort of a way to handle it is useless, which is what you just said. And it's just opinion.
Yeah.
By the way, opinion is often data without facts or wrong facts.
Yeah.
This is what our current news system is. Alarming data without evaluation made to get your attention, so you watch the ads that pay for their big studios and high salaries. It's just alarming data.
Yeah.
Right? Anyway, I can't help myself. I diverted, but it's apropos to this podcast because I'm going to explain that to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Is there really a shortage of houses? Or are people just passing around these rumors or this, what I'm calling false data?
Mm-hmm.
Has anybody actually analyzed it? Has anybody actually went and looked at it and observed and gotten real facts that something can be done about it?
Well, when you talk to someone like Dave, he's saying that they're looking at the numbers of houses on the real estate market. And people go, oh, that's it. But what you just said was, is that all the data or is that the correct data? So I'm wondering if that's all the data personally.
Right. So, did COVID change how we do transactions? That's how I started the podcast.
Yeah.
I beg you to consider this. During COVID, almost 100% of sellers did not want buyers in their house.
Oh, hell no.
For obvious reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Which meant the realtor system stopped or slowed extremely.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget this the rest of my life, which I expect it to be a very long time. Okay? I will never forget this. March of 2020, I had virtual assistants making phone calls every single day. We were calling for sale by owners and out-of-area owners.
Yep.
Mostly for sale by owners. We would average, I think, a few hundred for sale by owners a week for leads, a few hundred leads per week for sale by owners.
And that's new ones coming in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Within 2 weeks, that number went down to like 20.
That's for our whole state?
Yeah, whatever we were doing. I'm not sure.
It was like our area.
Whatever area
Yeah.
I was in at the time. I think it was just Connecticut. It might have been Connecticut, and I don't think we were in Cleveland at that point. But I was somewhere else. I don't remember where else.
Yeah,
I think it was North Carolina or something like that.
Yeah, so a few million people you're talking, 2-3 million of a territory.
Well, Connecticut has a 3.5 million population. Yeah, so it went down to like 50, like literally. I mean, it was like it was a significant. It was like I pointed the car north to the cliff, and I hit the gas as hard as I could go, and I was gone. Completely out of business.
Yeah.
Within 30 days. I mean, I'm talking about weeks. I'm talking about 10, 12, 15 days.
Yeah.
People they went onto their websites and just took their houses off the market. Right? Yep. So if that happened to me, who else did it happen to? Yeah. Everybody else. Right?
Uh-huh.
So the realtor system stopped too, because if it's happening for sale by owners, then what did the realtors do? Now, fortunately for the realtor system, a vast majority, and I mean probably 90% of the realtor system, if not more than that, are part-timers. They're second incomes. You know, it's kind of common that a husband will have a job and can support the family and do whatever, and he wants the wife to do something, or she wants to do something, so she'll become a realtor.
Yeah.
Right? And it's a second job. It's a part-time job. She can do it around taking care of the kids and being chauvinistic, but you know that's kind of the connotation. That's how it started, anyways. Right? But guys like you and I found ways around this. Like we used FaceTime to look at the houses, right? And Zoom. We would use Zoom inside the houses. That's when Zoom went really big. That's when Zoom went from non-existent to the number one online platform. Now watch this. What happened to the internet in March of 2020? The internet, it leaped ahead 5 years.
Yeah.
Because even old timers like us, now I'm 59 and you're what, 71? 72?
Almost.
How old are you?
2. Yeah, 2.
72.
Yeah.
All right. So guys like us, we're not necessarily internet guys. We're not the ones that are going to get onto a Zoom call and chat with them. I'll just go to the house and I'll just talk to them. Right? And believe it or not, statistically, in my flipping houses for rookies and my other software business, a vast majority of investors are over the age of 45 or 50. Right? So that I mean, like 90% of them are like 50, 60 years old.
Yeah.
Right? So not all of them, but a lot. So it changed the industry wicked, right? The outcome? Sellers found out they didn't need a realtor to find buyers and sell their houses. Because technically, the realtor system is designed to find a buyer. It's not designed to consult you through the whole transaction. Though the realtors that do 15, 20 or more deals a month know that if they want to get their checks, they got to get the sellers and the buyers to closing, because that's how they get their commission checks. So they consult the buyers and the sellers to get their checks. Unfortunately, that's not taught in realtor school. What's taught in realtor school is you take the deposit, you write a purchase and sales contract, and you shove it over to the legal department and let them finish the closing. How do I know? I went through the realtor training.
Yep.
I actually did it. And I didn't get a license because I thought it was too gross.
Yeah, you didn't need it.
So technically, a realtor is designed to find the buyer. So now all of a sudden there's this new phenomenon. Well, realtors can't find buyers because who's writing listings? Because people don't want other people in their houses. So they don't want people tramping through their houses. So the realtor system became archaic quick. because the only way that they can sell houses is to show them.
That's right.
Which left a statistic, which nobody talks about. Okay, nobody talks about this. It left a statistic of about 40% of today's transactions are done with buyer and seller and no realtor.
40%.
40%. And I know that from local observations, and I know that from talking to coaching clients and them talking to their escrow companies or title companies. It's actually 40% is a little bit conservative. I think it's like 42%.
Yeah.
40% of all real estate transactions are done without the realtor system. Peter, we're diverting way too much here today, but I think we're okay. How many times in a percentage, I want to answer with a percentage.
Yeah.
How many times have we been in a house? This is pre-COVID. You and I go into a house. We sit down, which is how we used to buy houses. We sit down, we view the house, we sit down in the living room and the kitchen, and we start to talk to people.
Yeah.
First of all, how many times does the realtor system come up from the seller's point of view? What percentage?
Probably 100.
Okay, and on a scale of forget about that. What percentage of them bash the realtor system and almost say they hate them?
About 100.
Yeah.
I had that yesterday. I was talking to a guy, and he goes, "I had this crappy realtor. She just took the listing and she just sat there. She didn't do anything." You know, and I think the writing on the wall started when all the houses went online on the MLS. You could look them up online, and people could see them online. And no one realized, well, wait a minute, if they keep looking online, what do they need me for? But we're so used to using realtors, people did. But you really don't if you can see the thing online. I talked to another lady selling the condo herself. She sold the last 2 houses herself because I can do it myself.
Right.
That's your point.
So now listen to this little fact. I figured this one out too. Zillow, the big beast in the room, is in bed with realtors. They're trying to monetize Zillow. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but like Google went something like 6 years pouring hundreds of millions of dollars into it and couldn't make money. And they actually stole their ad campaigns. You know, Google ads. You know, pay to click ads. Am I saying that right? Paid ads. So you can pay Google to present yourself as an ad on top of the search engine.
Right.
They actually stole that from Yahoo.
Oh.
Right. Before they came monetized. So Zillow's going through the same thing. They're pouring money in. They're trying to monetize themselves. Well, they believe that the way they can monetize themselves is to get realtors to put ads on Zillow, and it looks like they are listed, even though they're for sale by owner, because now they hide the for sale by owner contact information. And if you're a software company, they don't allow you to go in and take those numbers very easily these days. They scramble the data.
Yeah.
So they're very pro realtor. Now what I've noticed is if there's, because you got to realize that Zillow scrapes information.
Yep.
Because they have to have something for every property you put in there. Otherwise, you wouldn't go back there to like actually look for a property, right? Well, if the house has ever been on the MLS, which by the way, it goes on MLS and it goes on Realtor.com, it goes on Trulia, and it goes on Zillow. Those are all MLS copycats.
Yep.
They're just different names, right?
Yep.
What's happening now, especially with my coaching clients, is the Zillow number is too low because it's picking up the comps from the MLS. And they're not current comps, and the MLS can't keep up with the increase of houses quick enough.
Right.
So like we use PropStream, so you go on PropStream and I'll notice sometimes a 10 or 20% difference in what the house is worth based on Zillow because it picked up a Zillow ad from a year ago and it won't change it.
Yep. Yesterday saw Zillow is estimate 174, PropStream 203.
Yep.
100,000.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're right.
So that's a whole different thing, right? So in today's society, our new generations, sellers don't need a realtor, and not enough houses are being put on the MLS. So when you hear there's a shortage of houses, that's because we all got fat and lazy and said, "Oh, I want to buy a new house. I'll just find the realtor I like." It's not qualifications like how many houses have you sold in the last 12 months, or how many closings have you done, or how much money do you make, or how many deals, how many houses do you have on the MLS. None of that qualification is done anymore. It's like, oh, well, Joe's wife does it, so I think I'm going to pick her.
Yeah.
Right? And then Joe's wife goes on the MLS and can't find you a house because that's the only place they know how to get property is on the MLS, which is multiple listing service, if you don't know that, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
That brings me to my next observation.
By the way,
The internet.
I was telling you that my son found a house, got accepted. Said, "Did your realtor find it?" He goes, "No, I found it myself."
Yeah.
That's kind of the point. Like, you can find them yourself. So, it's online. It's not hard to find.
And that's my point. The internet.
Yeah.
It's my next point.
It's sitting right there.
With tools like Facebook Marketplace and Zillow, and it's not too hard to find buyers. Not only that, but today's new generation, creative entrepreneur, can do deals anywhere in the country as if living in that city or across the street. I do deals. I have a whole portfolio in Akron and Cleveland, Ohio. And every day I call my guys and did you, would you, could you, get it done, come on, don't make me get on an airplane, right? And our creative real estate software was solely designed to do this exact thing. Find and do deals in emerging markets for most and easiest profits, right?
Yep.
So that's called Creative REI Replay. It was designed, so REI Replay is software that was designed for wholesalers.
Yeah.
And Sean and I, my other partner Sean and I, started building my creative real estate system inside of REI Replay. We did it for about 2 years or 2.5 years, and the owner of the system, because we were using it so much, the owner of the system found out. Next thing you know, we were on the phone. Next thing you know, we were all partners. And we created this thing called Creative REI Replay, right?
Yep.
Okay. So our creative real estate software was totally designed so you can do that. Right? So like I said, now going back to the inflation, which is actually, like I told you, my definition is not enough money. Too much money, not enough products, right?
Right.
So we put the two of them together, right? Now we're in the heart of the madness. COVID-19 came along. We were told to stay home, like I said, right? Not build anything. Keep printing money, right? Get $600 a week. And then wonder why there's inflation.
It's like a drug dealer to me. It's like a drug dealer to me. Hey, here's some free drugs. Oh, thanks a lot. Here's some free drugs. Oh, thanks a lot. Okay, now you have to pay me.
Right.
So it's all this free.
Now that you're hooked and need drugs, you got to pay me.
Yeah, and now that we're hooked on all the
wait
free
a
stuff.
minute. Wait a minute. I'm confused, Peter. Stop.
Yes.
Did you just describe a drug dealer or the Medical Association of the United States? Which one?
I did. I was going for the economic guys, but it fits the other guys too.
It's kind of like the only thing I'm going to say about the Medical Association, AMA, American Medical Association, which is the ruin of our country. I think that we fight the real fight we have is the Medical Association and ignorance.
Okay.
Lack of education. Right? What we are against right now in this current year is, let me get the right word here, is ability.
How do you mean?
Go to any workforce and watch the worker. What is their ability like? Are they able to do their job the way they're supposed to? Or do you have to kind of like coach them along on how to do it?
Or coddle them. It's worse, coddle.
Right? Too much money, not enough products.
Yep.
So it's like this perfect storm, right? Now, here's my last point for the day. Because markets were so unpredictable, we needed to figure out how to wrap our wits around it before committing to a purchase. So one of the biggest things that there are four things that I have figured out, and I'm not anybody special. It's just that I work in the trenches a lot. So there's four things I figured out that I'm going to talk about in another podcast. But there are four things that a rookie goes through. Actually, five things that a rookie goes through that holds them back from doing real estate.
Yep.
One, they don't know how to find leads or qualified leads. Two, once they figure out what the leads are, they don't know what to say, scripts and stuff.
Right.
Three, once they figure out the scripts and they know what to say, they don't know what deal structure to use that's safe.
Yeah.
Four, once they figure out the deal structuring, they don't know which documents to use and how to stay legal. And number five, they're constantly worried about, do they have the right comp and can they sell it? So, how do you overcome that? How do you overcome that as a rookie? Right? How do you overcome that? So, I don't know how much the house is worth. I'm going to make a mistake. Is the biggest barrier. That's the biggest fear point, right?
Yeah, getting stuck with the house.
On top of all this inflation, and the market's going. Some people say the market's going up. Some people say the market's going down. Which is it?
Yeah.
Which market are we in? Are we in an increase and a decline? So all this is going through our rookies' heads, and they're like, "What the f do I do?"
That's right.
That's called the E factor. What the f do I do? That's the E factor. Okay.
It's not the F factor?
No, it's the
F,
E factor. What the F?
F.
Yeah. What the F do I do? Yeah. Right?
EF.
Yeah, the E factor, right? So what do? I feel bad for the rookies. I feel bad whoever's coming in this industry because it's like it's turbulent. It's like chaos. There is no stable datum on what a house is worth. So we think. So this is where I'm telling you, right? Today's podcast is called Secret New Generation of Creative Real Estate Deals Revealed. This is the most obvious secret in creative real estate that not enough people are using unless you're in one of my groups or use my software or are connected to me. Because I'm the only one. And I didn't even invent this. Sean was the one that did this.
Yeah.
My other partner. It wasn't me. I just noticed it. It's like, holy shit. Wait a minute. What did you do? Right? So, because markets were so unpredictable, we needed to figure out how to wrap our wits around it before committed to a purchase. This brought about the most basic, unbelievable observation in our industry. Especially if you're worried about risk. See, what I observed was rookies were not getting on the phones to look for deals, or as I say, outflow. When I inspected and evaluated, I found this simple yet powerful fact. If you don't know how much you can sell a house for before you buy it, the negotiation turns into order taking. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. If you know, I said if you don't know, if you know how much a house is before you can buy it, right? I'm going to just read that again because I read it wrong.
Okay.
If you know how much you can sell a house for before you buy it, the negotiation turns into order taking. which is way easier to do. And, by the way, it's way easier to learn. So I started teaching students, if you're nervous about a transaction because the deal was unbalanced, that's my language. Unbalanced means the seller wants too much and you can't pay it, or you want to pay too little and they won't accept it.
Right.
Right? That's an unbalanced deal. Only deals that happen and you make money with are balanced deals.
Yep.
Right? So an unbalanced deal is the seller's asking too much, you can't pay it, or you don't know how to pay it. We pay it, but you don't know how to pay it. Or you want to pay too little and the seller won't do the deal.
It's like being on a seesaw. He goes up, you go down. You go up, he goes down. And there's that spot right in the middle,
The sweet spot.
right in the middle that both go, okay, we can do that. That's what we're looking for.
Right. So here's what you do. Just sign a 30 to 90 day option agreement with the seller. Now this gives you a legal right to sell. An option is a legal right to sell, but not an obligation to buy. So incredible.
Yeah, that's really nuts.
Where else could you do that? Wait a minute. I'm going to go into the Porsche dealership tomorrow, right down the street from my house, and I'm going to say, "Hey, dude, here's my option agreement. I want to drive your car, and if I like it, I'm obligated to buy it. I'm not, if I like it, I'll buy it, but I'm not obligated to buy it. But if I like it, I will.
I'll be back in 3 months.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You see.
See you later.
I mean, do that with your furniture, right? Do that with anything you buy. Do that at the grocery store.
Yep.
I mean, what other industry has this capability other than the stock market?
Yep.
Right? Which is where it comes from. So an option agreement, you sign it with your seller. You give them, you need to give them legal tender, which is paper money.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to get into that because we're way too late into it. But if you want to hear a rant, if you want to hear what I'm talking about with legal tender, go to YouTube and type in The Creature from Jekyll Island. It's a 40-minute video. You will never be the same after you watch it. It's about our monetary system, how it was generated, and how fraudulent it is to this day. And you wonder why our country screwed up? Well, go watch that video. The point is, the United States government, by the Constitution of the United States, is not allowed to print money. The only money that we can use legally is precious metal, is coins.
Yeah, it's real.
Right. So the what is it called?
Federal Reserve?
Federal Reserve is privately owned by banks, by the way. Chase Manhattan. Did you know that Chase Manhattan, which is in Manhattan, Chase Manhattan, their headquarters is across the street from the Federal Reserve?
Figures.
Did you know that there's a tunnel that goes between the two of them?
Underground
and
tunnel?
they pass the gold back and forth?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah, by the way, another little fact, and then we'll go back to the podcast. Another little fact. I think it was Nixon in 1979, October of 1979.
It was
I
Nixon.
don't know if
Yep.
he signed a bill to come off the gold standard. Why is that a big deal? Because prior to that, if we had money, paper money had to be backed by gold. So there was a limit to how much they could print.
Yep.
When they took it off a gold standard, now there's no limit on how much they can print, which is why all these years later, the country is going through what the country's going, because we have too much money, not enough products.
I heard yesterday on the news that no one has done an inventory of how much gold we have in generations. We don't know how much gold we actually have, what we have. Don't know. That's insane.
Yep.
It's like that.
All right, so you sign this option agreement with your seller. You have the right to buy it, but not the obligation to buy it. Because when you sign this option agreement with them, you get a very, very minute equitable share, which means that you're a part owner of the property. You're not a decision maker, but you legally, it doesn't say how, you could be a half of a percent owner and have the right to do this. You don't need a license because now you're considered a part owner. You have an equity share in the property.
Yep.
You take that option agreement and you put it in your desk drawer because now you have the right to go sell this property because you're part owner, and you put it on the market, aka Facebook,
Zillow.
Yeah. Right. I want to make sure I'm not getting ahead of myself here. Yeah. Zillow. My favorite these days is apartments.com.
Apartments.com.
Yeah.
Really?
I just had an apartment that I rented. I put it on there. 6 days later, I had the place rented, deposit, contract signed, done.
Oh yeah. Can you use that for selling a house too as well?
Yep. We're selling it. We're doing it on a rent to own, aren't we?
Yeah. So people looking for apartments to rent,
There you go.
oh, I can rent a house and then buy it. Yay! They love that. Yeah, that's like using Zillow rental. So apartments. Good. I hadn't heard you say that before.
So let me see. I want to catch up to my notes here. So basically, what you're doing is what we call bringing the house to the market. Okay, so how do you know whether you have a good property or not? We call it the popularity contest. It's kind of like being teenagers and in school. Who's popular, who's not.
Yeah.
Right? The way you're going to know whether it's popular is when you put it on these platforms.
You see what your response is.
Right? And, I would never pay $180,000 for that house. It's only worth $150,000. Or they go and inspect the property, right? And they say, well, there's no furnace in the house, or the roof is bad. And you find out more shit about the house from the buyers than anybody else, right?
Yeah, well, it's like the other side of the coin. The seller's saying how great it is. Oh, I got a new electric service. And then the buyer's coming like, yeah, but there's no door on the garage.
Now, here's the interesting thing, Peter.
Oh.
The interesting thing is what you and I missed for quite a while, a year and a half. I missed it. You call people up and they say, our script says, how much you asking for the house? Okay, good. Whose name is on the deed, right? What's your, first of all, is the house for sale? Whose name is on the deed? And then how much you asking for the house?
Yeah.
And then we pretty much say, okay, well, if you want me to, if for me to be able to pay that amount of money, the only way I could do that is to make monthly payments until I pay you off without all the landlord obligations. Can we talk about that? If they say no and they're only a cash buyer, that's where it used to end. But nowadays, what we do is we sign an option agreement because even if they want all cash, we could go get all cash with an option agreement. We just go find the buyer, just like a realtor would do, which, by the way, we could do it better than a realtor because we're going to do it between a 30 and 90-day window. And we're often more trained than the realtor is.
Yeah.
Right? More to the point is you can bring cash to the table. But that's another day for another conversation. What I'm talking about right now is if you are nervous, then sign this option agreement first, put it on the market, and educate yourself on the market. Let the buyers come back and tell you all about the market. Now, if you sign an option agreement, you said for $175,000, we'll say, and the market comes back and says they'll pay $199. Well, guess what?
Yeah, we're buying that house.
You got a bidding war, right? They want to overpay. So what happens is you go back to your seller and say, okay, I'm going to pull the trigger on 175, and we're going to close in 30 days because you already have your buyer, you have your seller, and you're matchmaking. That's like taking an order. That's like going to the meat market and say, I'll take 3 pounds of hamburger, I'll take 4 hot dogs, and I'll take 2 pounds of chicken.
Yeah, because you know what that's worth. And now with the way you do the option in the house, you know what it's worth, so you don't have to worry about all that stuff.
If for some reason it comes back and they don't want to pay that, or you have very little response, like you have an add-on for a week and you got 2 people that responded, there's only 2 reasons why a house doesn't sell. Its price is too high or it's dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And if there's nobody in the house or the pictures are bad and you don't know, a dysfunctional means you got to walk through the bathroom to get to a bedroom. or the kitchen's in the basement instead of on the first floor, or something dysfunctional. So it's not normal, and
Yeah.
people don't like it.
Yeah.
It's not conventional. It's not the normal thing, right? If for some reason that's the case, you go back and you do what we call it in apartment buildings. It's called retrading. You go back and renegotiate and say to the seller, "No way." Now here's the thing. You are not spending a lot of time, money, or energy on this until you get a deal. And you're going to learn your market real quick.
Yeah.
And you're going to learn how to talk to a seller. You're going to find out what the seller wants. You're going to learn what the buyer. It is the best education system you can get. You don't need $30,000 worth of coaching. You need to go find one of these people and sign an option agreement and go test it. Risk-free.
Yeah.
Now think of it this way. The realtor system locks them in for 6 months, like it or not.
Yep.
But your option gives you like I said, a minute equity share, so you don't need a license. At the same time, test the market for the seller much quicker.
Yeah.
You'll know in a week or two. Interesting thing is, creative real estate deals are becoming mainstream now. COVID did that. I talk to many sellers nowadays that already know how these deals work, and ask questions about the details instead of thinking about it as a scam. Oh, lease option, yeah. How does that work?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to take over my payments? That's called subject to, right? How does that work?
Yeah. I've heard of owner financing. How exactly does it work? That's a quote.
Right.
I got that a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Thus, these small changes are going far and wide, gnawing away at the only game in town until COVID-19. The realtor system that is as old and clunky, not giving sellers what they need. They think the only thing the seller wants is money.
Yeah.
And money doesn't fix everything. It can help, and I don't want to discredit money. But if you're moving out of state, you're moving out of state and you're making $125,000 a year, and you got an offer to go to Canada to make $250,000 a year from the same company. Do you care how long it takes to sell a house? Yeah, you do. Does the money matter? No, because you're making double your salary.
Yep.
So you don't obviously want to lose, but the pressing point is I need to sell within 30 days because I got to move.
Yep.
And I'm not coming back. And I don't want to have the burden of trying to figure out my new job, making all that money, blowing my opportunity because I got to keep coming back to this house and getting it sold.
Yeah. And in any market, those situations happen. There's any market, good, bad, or indifferent, a lot of houses, not too many houses. There's always people with some kind of situation that they can't sell it with a realtor because it takes too long, or whatever the thing is, and that's when we come in. There's always there somewhere.
Here's my punchline. Listen.
Yes.
The main difference between the realtor system and what we do is, and this is 100%. 100% my world. A seller cannot hand off their house to a realtor and just forget about it and say, take care of it for me.
Yeah.
They can't do that. When they do it with me, they can. I don't call them and change the deal. I call them with updates, which is the magical thing that I did and didn't know it until I came out with it. When we creative REI Reply, the reason why it's such a hit is because we put leads into your account. We hook them up to campaigns. They automatically run. You don't do anything. You come in every day. You look under your conversations and see who's interested, who's not. You get on the phone. You do our script, which is you said 4 minutes, 51 seconds. Right? You find out everything you need to know about the deal in 4 minutes and 51 seconds. You enter 5 or 6 numbers into a calculator, and the calculator tells you which one of my 7 deals by a red, yellow, or green light you do. You open up that screen, so if it's a green light, like on a slot deal, you click on green light, or on subject to, you click on the green light, You open the deal. On the right side is the numbers. On the left side is the list of things that you need to go over with them so they know what they're getting into so they don't ghost you later on. Right?
Yep.
Now we have a button. You click a button, you hit save, and you can send them a memorandum while you're on the phone, and they sign it while you're on the phone. And then you click another button that generates all the documents, pre-populates all the documents for that deal structure. So you don't even have to worry about the documents anymore. We fill them out for you as if I did them. Okay? Now, here's the reason why I tell you that. You need to talk to people. That's what you do. Mm-hmm. It's all automated for you. And it's even getting better. If I had my way, we're going to do role-playing with robots pretty soon. Mm-hmm. So you can practice. Okay. Anyways, thank you for listening to us today. I hope I answered your question. Oh, by the way, the reason why I was bringing up Creative Area Replay is because not only do we do that when we purchase, you go and you get a phone number from our system, and you go put a Zillow ad up and a Facebook ad and apartments.com, and we show you how to do that in the system because it has all the training in there. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry. I know what the point was. So you put it on there, and sellers automatically view the house, and the only time you should talk to a seller is when they fill out an application. Now here's the punchline, which I missed earlier. So the punchline is this. You want to build confidence. The way you build confidence is to know what's going to happen next. So once you get a deal, you get a memorandum signed, you go into the system, and I have created checklists for every deal structure type there is. So all you do is once you get a deal, you go in there, you download the checklist and you print it or you read it or whatever, and you tell the seller, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, then we're going to do that, then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that. That's how you build confidence, when you give them the play-by-play.
I like how you have it numbered in sequence, right. Because otherwise, right. When I first started, I think it was a jumble. Like there's 12 things I need to do, and they weren't laid out. They were in a pile on my head, and you couldn't tell where do I go. And you got it 1, 2, 3. So you just follow. It's like paint by numbers.
Right. All right. Cool. Extra cool. So we're out of here. Episode number 350, which is the next episode, is called Funding Creative Real Estate Deals in Today's Economy. Ah. That's episode number 350. Excuse me. Make sure you subscribe to our channel wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Make sure you like us or dislike us if you think we're really horrible. Make sure you leave us some feedback so we can go check out our report card. Remember, we spend 5 or 6 hours a week broadcasting these podcasts so you have information so you could be a better investor or get your first deal. So we appreciate some exchange back, and we do that by making sure you leave us a comment. And if there's something that you need from us, you can go to a WhatsApp Messenger if you want help. You can go to Let's Talk Real Estate. Or you can go to Flipping Houses for Rookies, top right-hand corner. Is a support ticket, and those will come right to me. And then don't forget the link in your description. Go check it out and see what you can learn from that. Okay? With that said, thank you again for all of your support, and we'll talk to you on episode number 350. Have a good week.
Thanks for tuning in to the hottest real estate topics on the planet with Bill and Pete. If you want to continue learning how to buy and sell real estate without money or credit, head over to flippinghouses.club for some cutting-edge real estate wealth tools. Or contact us at info@flippinghouses.club.